Okay, Charlie Blackmon, everyone. Nick, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, Charlie, you play long enough at the high level that you have played at. You hit a bunch of milestones, and you've hit a bunch of them. And I've asked you this question before, so I can kind of guess what your answer might be. But do you, on the hits list, the Rockies hit list, you're now past Larry Walker, who's a Hall of Famer. Do you consider these things very much? I mean, do these things cross your mind about your sort of place in the game?
I think, I think maybe when I'm all done, and you never know, like that could, like heaven forbid, that could be any moment, right? So got to be, thankful to be able to play today. Hopefully I'll get to play tomorrow and just realize lots of things have gone right. And I've been super lucky if you're getting to the point to where, you're making some of these milestones. But I think, in the here and now, I think I'll try and, shoot for the team wins. And then maybe down the road when I'm old and fat, I'll be able to tell my kids, something like that, like, hey, I played more games than Larry Walker in Colorado, something like that. I don't know.
Well, and just beyond the milestones, even 10 years is a long time in the league. That's survivors years. Do you recognize that because you're so routine oriented, do you recognize that the work is worth it? Does that make, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think I do think you're right. Like it's, 10 years, it's hard to be that competitive for a 10-year stretch, especially playing at altitude, especially with how good the game is being played right now. So I think it's kind of a testament to your ability to make adjustments and your ability to maintain a certain level of fitness and know enough about your body to be able to roll it out there to be productive most of the time. And
again, I don't know how that came out. I'll make my question, but I mean, you're doing more than just holding on. I mean, you're still playing at a very high level, and you are on a team that's struggling kind of overall. Have you thought much about the idea that a playoff team would find you very valuable? Have you thought about those possibilities?
Not a whole lot. I don't think it's very likely. I've been wrong before, Nick, that one time, so I don't really know. I think it's not worth the effort to think about that. And I don't think it can help. Can't help me. It can't help the Rockies at this point. So it's probably not something I should spend time doing.
Gotcha. Thanks, Charlie.
Patrick, go ahead.
Hey, Charlie. Nick asked pretty much the stuff I wanted you to respond to, but I guess I'd phrase my question this way. I know you're caught up in the season, the moment, trying to help your team win, but those are some pretty big milestones. How important is it, or how gratifying is it that you've been able to stick with this team your entire career and set those kind of milestones? Because in this day and age, players don't stick around with one team very long, but you've managed to do it and play at a high level.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, right? That means that the Rockies wanted me first. They wanted me in the middle. They still want me now. They had lots of opportunities to get rid of me. And I had an opportunity to leave myself. You're right. And the fact that it's just worked out so well, I think it's been a great relationship. I really enjoy playing in this organization, and I really like the people here. And it would mean a lot for me to be here and really see some of these young guys make these big steps, become good players like they have been, and then, be successful in the future.
And one more from me. You've passed Larry Walker now. You still trail Todd Helton, and clearly you're never going to catch Todd.
Yeah.
But knowing the work you've put in and everything you've done, and you've gotten to this milestone, and then you realize Todd Helton had more than 2,500 hits in his career. Granted, he played 17 seasons, but still,
Mhm.
I mean, the perspective of that is crazy to think that somebody could do that.
It's really hard to look at some numbers like that, like to see someone with 2,500 hits and try and understand how much that is. And I played just enough baseball to really start to appreciate how much that really is without doing it myself, and understand that it's an incredible accomplishment what Todd's done. What some of those guys in the Hall of Fame have done, and the numbers that they've put out, and the career numbers. And when you start thinking about it, you really have, like, 10 years is not enough, right? Like 10, 10's awesome. I'm proud of my 10. And but like when you're talking about Todd Helton and Larry Walker type numbers, that's not even nearly enough. Like you would have to blow away through that. And it just goes to show like how good those guys are, and how competitive they must have been to carry it, that late into their career and be that productive for that long. Those guys are just really good players.
And one more from me. We know you're a slave of your routine. You're a grinder. At least in front of us, Charlie, all the time I've known you, you don't tend to pat yourself on the back very often. But when you're away from us, the media, do you once in a while look at what you've accomplished and say, damn, I've done some really good things on the baseball field?
I don't really handle that mindset very well, Patrick. It doesn't make, it's not good for me to think like that. I think it's important to, try your best to stay humble, because if you don't, and I've done it, like you'll get your butt kicked, or something will be taken from you. It just doesn't pay to think like that. I'll certainly be proud, hopefully when I get done. And I think most of it will be, I was proud that I played really hard and tried to help my teammates, and like was uncompromising with the way that I approached the game. And I wanted to be the best and that I could be. And, I think that's more so what I'll be proud of, looking back, rather than, looking up, how many stats of this or that, personally.
Okay. And just speaking, I think for all of us, Charlie, it's been a real pleasure to watch you play. It really has. And I think I'm speaking for everybody. So
Thank
thanks.
you. I appreciate that. It's good to hear that. Thank you.
Tracy?
Charlie, when you sit here and think about all the stuff you accomplished, do you ever sit back and realize how lucky you were to have that sore arm when you went to play summer ball in Texas?
Yeah, exactly. Like, just like that, I could have not been here. My story could be different. So I like to, think that, a big part of that, I was lucky, maybe the big man upstairs looking out for me a lot. And it could have been so easily a different story for me. And so for that reason, I think it's important to try my best to be grateful, that I am still here, and that I wasn't, an accountant for the last 15 years. But yeah, it's, there was a time where I didn't even consider hitting competitively. I thought it was going to be all about pitching for me.
Thank you, sir.
Larry?
Yes, congratulations, Charlie. Did you know going into today that this was the anniversary of your first hit in the major leagues?
I had seen yesterday, I was told that was like 10 years ago. Yesterday was the date that I made my debut. I know for sure I didn't get a hit that first day. So I guess I hadn't thought about it till now, but that's pretty cool that 10 years ago I got that first hit. That's I didn't realize that until you just asked the question. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. And like most players, when they get their first hit, they get the ball. Do you still have the ball of your first hit?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Now that you've, making some of these accomplishments as you are, passing a Hall of Famer, Larry Walker, for second place in the most hits for the Rockies. Do do you take a look here in where your career is now and think about certain goals you would like to achieve as far as maybe 2,000 hits or something like that or more?
No, not really. Not really. I think I'll because I don't think it'll change how I approach the game. Like, I think I'll do my best until I decide that I can't do that anymore. And, and I don't think the fact that I haven't reached a certain number of this or that will affect, that personally.
Okay. And lastly, last year, beginning the first half of the year, you were just totally red hot. Nobody could hardly get you out. And then, of course, the latter part of the season slowed down a bit, but still a great year. And then this year starting off a little slow. And now you're really coming on base 3 times tonight. Do you feel the difference or know the difference of why you were, slumping versus how well you're doing now or how well you were doing the first part of last year?
I try to figure it out exactly, and I can't necessarily figure it out. Like, I know what I've done lately to be a little more competitive, but it's sometimes hitting's a moving target, and you can't feel really great all the time. I'd like to be a little more consistent, right? I wouldn't like to have lots of ups and downs. I'd rather just be a good player all the time if I could. When I'm not playing well, I obviously want to play better, so I try to make adjustments. Right? But it's big league baseball is pretty, and that's part of it.
Okay, well, congratulations again, Charlie, and thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll finish up with Owen and Grove. Owen, go ahead.
Hey, Charlie. Yeah, congratulations on the hits. Am I back? Okay. Yeah, congratulations on the hits tonight, and also on the 10 years. Did you from the debut yesterday? Did you mark that in any way yesterday? You had an off day. Did you celebrate or anything?
Yeah, I went fishing all day.
Awesome.
It was great.
What kind of fishing?
I went. I went flats fishing in the Bay of Biscayne with my fly rod and my friend Daniel Bard, and we tried to catch fish all day. It was great.
Awesome. Succeed a little bit?
No,
No.
no, but we had a good day. It was great. I enjoyed it.
All right. With respect to passing Walker, and not even passing him, just being in that company, have you had the chance to interact very much with Walker? And how has he influenced you or inspired you? What do you, there's a player at the top of the Rockies pantheon. What does he mean to you?
I have been around Larry a little bit in spring training and fantasy camp, and we didn't talk so much about baseball. I kind of have gotten to know him and what his personality is like, and he gave me the sense that he was a pretty strong personality that didn't let a lot get to him. He was a pure talent, but I do think one of his gifts is mentally. I felt like he wasn't a guy to ride the roller coaster up and down with his emotions. Like, he just seemed like he tried to have fun every day, whether things were going good or bad. And I think that's, a big part of what I try and do is try and keep an even keel with my emotions.
And does his legacy as a Rocky and playing the same position, has that inspired you a little bit and given you something as you've shaped your career? I guess.
I don't think I ever set out to say I want to do it like Larry. I certainly think he's an unbelievable player, but I didn't aspire to do what Larry did or what Todd did. Those guys are, kind of on their own level. So I'm just trying to play good.
And then to wrap it up, you did mention, you mentioned Todd. what about for him? You know, because he's he's next in your sights, but just to be, you know, now an exclusive company with him. I know you know him a little bit better. What does he mean to you?
It was just, I mean, it was just really cool for me to get to play with Todd, and like, you know, Todd was the established veteran best player when I like first got to the, you know, first broke into the big leagues, my first year or two, you know, and seeing Todd. And so now it's kind of, you know, I'm getting closer in age to where Todd was. You know, he was older than me, but you know, I kind of feel like now, you know, there's some younger players that kind of consider me the guy that's been around the longest. And so it's just kind of cool to like be closer to a role that he was when I first got into the big leagues. That's neat.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks and congratulations again.
All right. Thanks.